creative friends, this is Joy. So I decided to continue to create things to fill up my stash, and today I decided to work on doing some mark making on deli paper. So here I decided to use my jelly plate and some black paint to try to make some marks that I can, print on deli paper. I really like using deli paper because whenever you collage it onto anything, it pretty much disappears. And so I really like that aspect of using deli paper in my art, journaling, mixed media, and collage. And here, as you saw, I'm about out of this paint, so I dumped out a bunch and then I used the lid to just make circles, but some of them, it put out a little bit more paint than I intended, so I'm just trying to spread it around and use up some of that so that it's not too thick. And here I just lightly press because again there's way too much paint, and then trying to get up as much of it as I can on a couple of sheets of deli paper to see what I come up with. And so then here I'm using this deli paper just to get up as much and clean up as much of the wet paint or what's left that's wet on the plate. And while I was doing this, and here I'm deciding just to go straight to making marks on the deli paper. And I was thinking, well, I could use stencils and stamps and things like that, and I think towards the end you will see me using some stamps, different textured stamps, but I really wanted to get some different organic mark making elements on deli paper. So that's why I've started out just kind of making marks myself, and then trying to fill up a bunch of different deli paper with different marks. So here I'm just trying to clean up all that black circles on the deli plate or the jelly plate. And so you see here I'm pulling that up, and that can be used in collage somewhere at some point. It just won't be as see-through as like the other deli paper where I've just made marks and stuff on the page. And then here I'm just trying to clean up the rest of it, and I used the brayer, and I was kind of like, ooh, I kind of like the marks that brayer is making on the deli paper, because I used one of the deli paper to clean off the brayer. And so you'll see me here in a minute where I end up just using the brayer to make some designs and stuff on paper. And here I'm just showing you real quick just some other ideas where I make different shapes, triangles, pluses, dashes, what have you, and circles, just to kind of add some different elements to deli paper. Here I decided to take some of the found or recycled things that I have been collecting and just do some more mark making. And this here I believe is from a roll of tape, the plastic piece that's left over from a roll of tape, and the other, that stick, is just from like a dauber that the sponge kind of deteriorated, so I'm using the dauber part. And then here's a small cap that's a little bit smaller than the tape circle that I was using, and I decided to, since I already had one with tape circles, I wanted to make this a little bit different, so I used the cap on the inside of those tape circles. And then other ideas is to use like cardboard here, where you peel off the top layer and just kind of make marks with cardboard. So that's what I'm doing here, is just using the cardboard to make some marks on a piece of paper. And this is like a plastic corner that came off of something, I don't even remember what, but it makes a really cool kind of triangle, but it seemed to work best when I painted on it, so that's what I did there. And then here I'm just using the brayer just to kind of clean up the rest of that black paint, and then I got out the jelly plate again just so I can use it as a, you know, palette to brayer some paper with some different colors or different paints. Here I'm using some metallic paint, some gold metallic paint, that I thought would be cool to use in something. And I really like kind of the mottled and different effect that you get with the brayer. And the other thing that I like about doing on deli paper is you can audition things on, like your project, and you can move things around and see, well, do I like this? And if not, then you don't have to commit. And I like to use deli paper a lot for when I'm stamping like a word or a quote, because again, if you mess up, you just, redo it on a different part or another piece of deli paper, and you can audition it again on your projects. You can move it around and see where you like it. And so yeah, deli paper is a great tool to have in your stash for mixed media and collaging and art journaling, crafting, whatever. It's just really great to have. So here I went through my stamp stash and I decided to get a bunch of stamps with different textures, and this is just stars. And there was a little bit of paint on there from cleaning up the jelly plate, so I'm just stamping all over this piece of deli paper with the stars. And then here I've got circles. I'm not too keen on the circles, but and I tried to turn the stamp every which way to kind of, make it a little bit where it's not so consistent, but I don't know, I wasn't too crazy about that. Here I thought this would be fun. It's music notes, if I can end up stamping it and then eventually add it to a project later. If I decide to, add that to a project later. And then I had some other, like I said, just different things with different shapes or different patterns and stuff. And I really like this stamp. Matter of fact, this is one of my favorite stamps. I use it so much. The little triangles. That's a favorite. And this one was fun, but I was having a hard time getting this one to stamp. It's just numbers. And as you can see, it wasn't really coming out. And I'm like, is my stamp pad needing re-inking? What's going on here? But I did manage to get a few good images with this number stamp. I also have a stencil that's got a bunch of numbers on it, which again, I was thinking after I finished this, I could have brought out some stencils, but I was, I had spent like an hour creating all of these and decided, I was just had enough. And you'll see at the end, I'll show you like all the different ones that I did, because I know some of these are hard to see. Like this block here was something I picked up at a yard sale, and it's got several different like patterns on it, which is kind of cool. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but I will show you at the end. I go through and show you all of the pieces of deli paper that I made. And this is a neat stamp, that's got like a little mandala shape, 2 different sizes. So I decided to stamp those on that piece of deli paper. And that's from Inca Doodle Doo, I think. This here was just from Amazon that I found, and I decided to stamp the whole thing, so it's easier for me just to ink up the whole thing and then put it down. And I want to get a good impression, so I turned it over and rubbed the other side to get a good impression. And I needed to do what little bit was left, so I just did half of the stamp. So I really like that. That's got some interesting patterns and stuff that I can tear apart and add in different projects. And this was some kind of an off-brand vendor. And here's another stamp. It's a all-over stamp that I thought would be kind of neat to have. And so what I really like about this process is, you have all these ready papers with all these different patterns and images and stuff that, you can pull from and use whenever you're working on a project, and you don't have to stop and think about, oh, what am I going to use, or, go through your stash or whatever to find, like, what you want to use. Um, I don't know. I just think it would be helpful if I had stuff to pull from whenever I was doing different projects. And here I'm kind of trying to speed up or skip ahead, but I decided to use this red stamp pad, as you can see. And again, I know you can't see it very well, um, but I do show you at the end with some white paper behind the deli paper, the different ones that I was able to create. And I actually created a pretty good stash of papers, deli papers, so that I'm really happy with that I was able to do that. And here I'm just using some other, trash that I had put in a drawer and saved from different things. So here I'm showing you all the deli papers that I created to put in my stash, and I may go back, like I said, I spent an hour on this, and so I was kind of like, oh, I'm over it, but I may go back and do some stenciled ones. We'll see, but I'm pretty happy with, this stash so far. It's quite a few pieces of deli paper now that I can use in any of my projects, so that makes me happy. And here's where I use the brayer. Those I really like. Those are kind of cool. And that was stamping and brayering. And here's the stamping of images. More stamping. And using the red ink pad. And that's pretty much all the deli paper that I got, a big stash of it, and this is how I store them in these zipper bags. So I thank you for stopping by and watching, and if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to see more. And here I'm just showing you how you can clean that it stays on ink off of your hands when you get it all over you. You could just spray some alcohol on it and then use like a paper towel to wipe it off, and it comes off pretty easily with some alcohol. So again, thank you for stopping by and watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.